Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Legends of Tomorrow Season 6 review series. And today I am going to be talking about episode 14, There Will Be Brood, which I've just finished watching. And this episode for me, I would say, was quite possibly the best one for what has been a very up and down sixth season of the show. And this episode saw the death of one of the mainstays of Legends of Tomorrow, which I'm going to be talking about in a moment. And it looks like we might have seen a couple of other characters get killed off in the show as well. More on that in a moment. But this episode I really enjoyed a lot, and this one definitely had a much more serious and emotional tone to the story, which has been something that's been severely lacking in this season and in the show's overall run. I don't think I have seen an emotional episode for Legends of Tomorrow in quite some time since the death of Stein back in season 3 during the Crisis on Earth X crossover event, but I would still say that one was the most emotional episode that Legends of Tomorrow has ever put out. But this one was certainly up there, but in a different way, because this event had been teased for a couple of seasons now, and we all know that something was definitely going to happen, but it was just a matter of how they were going to pay this off. And when this did actually happen, which I'm going to be talking about in a moment, it did take me by surprise, but not as much, because anybody who's been following this story arc for the last couple of seasons, you kind of had a feeling that this was going to happen, but it was still an emotional moment nonetheless. So I'm going to give a quick recap of what's happened so far, and then we're going to get straight into talking about episode 14. So we saw at the end of episode 13, Constantine finally gave in to his darker addiction, as we had been seeing him battling his evil self for a couple of episodes now. So that finally happened, and we saw Bishop make his unexpected arrival, and it looks like now the two of them are working together. So that was an interesting way to end episode 13, and plus also Mick Rory has now given birth to alien eggs after Bishop performed an operation where Mick can give birth without any pain being experienced. So that was what happened in episode 13. And this episode pretty much picks up where we left off at the end of the last episode, which was episode 13, as I mentioned already. And as I said, this episode was definitely the most enjoyable and certainly the best one of season 6, in my opinion. And I didn't realise this, but I just found out that we are now one episode away from the season 6 finale of the show. And in my honest opinion, this season has been very up and down. Not great, but not bad. Just very, very up and down and very mixed. But we'll get to that in the final edition of this review series. So with that all said, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about episode 14, There Will Be Brood. So this episode picks up where we left off at the end of episode 13, and we see Zari goes to Constantine's house and finds a mess of glass and blood. She confronts him, who claims he's feeling better than ever, and moments later we see the rest of the team come in behind her to ask where Bishop went. Constantine admits that he's now helping Bishop, and they soon realise they're dealing with a projection of Constantine. Meanwhile, on the Wave Rider, Bishop and Constantine hijack the ship and take off with Astra and Spooner still on board. Astra and Spooner, who hide magically while Constantine and Bishop sort out their destination to find the fountain. After much discussion, they chart a course that leads them to Texas in 1925, and Astra and Spooner realise it's up to them to stop Constantine and Bishop. Soon upon arriving, however, Spooner comes across a woman who's extremely familiar when the woman starts to help an injured man. Spooner thinks it's her mother, though she can't explain why. Spooner insists the woman Gloria in helping the man, but the boss comes over and wants the injured man sent right back to work. The boss then tries to buy the woman's land, but she refuses. She repeatedly refused his offer, and when he goes to intimidate her, Astra and Spooner step in, driving him away. Gloria wants to thank them with a hot meal, and Spooner is more convinced than ever that the woman is her mother. Astra reluctantly goes with her. Now, over the course of this season, Spooner and Astra, although both very stubborn characters and both polar opposites in terms of their personalities, have struck up a very strong bond, and it's been very refreshing and nice to see this develop over the show. And we definitely see these two grow more closer towards the end of this episode, which I'm going to get into in a moment. Elsewhere, Bishop and Constantine go looking for the fountain but find it's all dried up. Constantine is upset, but Bishop reveals that the mushrooms they found are a good sign, suggesting that the mushrooms, which are apparently an alien life form, are connected to the fountain, which is an alien being. Bishop says he can take some samples and make the fountain synthesize with him. Spooner and Astra visit with the woman. She tells her life story, including that she has a daughter. That daughter is playing near the fountain, and Constantine goes to speak to her. The girl is gathering mushrooms for her mother, who is also a healer. Constantine shows her some of his magic tricks, and she gives him a flower, but when he touches it, something happens, and he asks her name. It's Esperanza Cruz, aka a young Spooner. Young Esperanza goes home and brings Constantine with her. At Constantine's house, the rest of the team is trying to figure out how to stop John as well, and Mick is panicking about his eggs. They decide to reach out to Kayla and decide to post a photo of Mick with fake eggs on what is essentially an alien Instagram and tag Kayla in it to lure her there. It takes a bit of time, but the plan works and Kayla shows up. They fill her in on the situation, and Mick also tells her that he has real feelings for her. Kayla reluctantly teams up with him to save the eggs. At dinner, Spooner chats a bit with her younger self before she and Astra get a private moment with Constantine. Constantine knocks everyone out and then shows Spooner her mother's actual fate. She's murdered by the corrupt oil man from earlier, and young Spooner runs into the woods where she falls and hurts herself, bleeding onto the fountain, which signals the fountain, which is an alien, who takes her away. Constantine tells her that she can save her mother, and Spooner tells Astra she's going to do it, and that she's going to stay and save her mother to give her younger self a chance at a normal life, and she gave Constantine her blood as he asked. On the Wave Rider, Bishop gives Constantine a serum he's created. It will purify Constantine briefly and thus trick the fountain into believing that he's worthy. Astra confronts Constantine and tells him to come back to the team, but he blows her off and tells her that her mum would be turning in her grave if she knew that Astra was dabbling in magic. He sends her back to Spooner's mum's house, where, sure enough, the oil men show up. Spooner reveals to Gloria that she's her daughter from the future and that she is going to protect her. Astra cautions Spooner that her actions will change history, and Astra really doesn't want to lose her friend. Now, this is actually the first time that Astra has actually admitted to caring about someone and not wanting to lose them as a friend. So you can clearly see that Astra is a very different person to how she was in Season 5. Gloria tells Spooner that they have to let history play out the way it is supposed to. She tells Spooner that she became exactly the person she hoped she would be, and that she was meant to find her again in the past. Astra says that she will get Esperanza to the fountain and Spooner should stay with Gloria. At the fountain, Constantine pours Spooner's blood to summon it, and it works, and the fountain appears. Gloria says a tearful goodbye to young Esperanza, and then she goes outside with Spooner to speak with the oil men. However, with the fountain active, Spooner now has magic, and when they raise their weapons to shoot Gloria, she uses it to stop them, making them feel the pain she felt. She drives them away just as Astra and Esperanza arrive at the fountain. The fountain takes Esperanza just as it did in the past. Kayla takes the Legends to Texas 1925 and they find the Wave Rider. Zari realizes Constantine isn't going to be on the ship, so they decide to follow the weirdness to find him. The rest of the Legends get on the Wave Rider to save the eggs and discover that Bishop has rigged the incubator to explode. They rush to grab the eggs, but one is left behind. Mick goes to grab it, and the bomb goes off. Now, this was actually quite a shocking moment, and it does make you wonder, does Mick Rory actually get killed off in this episode? So we'll just have to wait and see, really. But we all know that Dominic Purcell is going to be leaving, so this could be the way that he's written out of the show, but we'll definitely find out in the season 6 finale. As the Fountain, Constantine reveals that he stole the serum from Bishop and uses it on himself because he was sure that Bishop was going to steal it to use on himself. However, Bishop's plan all along was something else. He poisoned the serum, and with Constantine linked to the Fountain, it will also kill the Fountain. Bishop then reveals that the Fountain was given to Earth by kind aliens to protect it from others, and killing it will make it an open season. Bishop, annoyed that humans kept stopping him from doing what he wants to save them, decides to just destroy it to start all over again. The Fountain dies, and with it, young Esperanza. Spooner collapses as well. Astra rushes to Constantine's side, and he tells her that he's all out of tricks as his whole body starts to be absorbed by the ground's branches, and he slowly disappears. And he dies, and his body is taken in by the remains of the Fountain. And that's how we end episode 14 and my review. As I mentioned already, this was definitely the best episode of season 6. I have said before that season 6 was very up and down in terms of the tone of the episode and the story that were being told, but this one was definitely the best one. It was emotional, but probably not as emotional as when Stein died, because you didn't see that one coming at all. And plus, with Constantine, they'd been teasing this for a couple of seasons that something was going to happen to him. So it looks like Constantine's dead. Mick Rory looks like he's possibly dead. Spooner, she might survive or she may not survive, but time will tell really. But overall, this was a great episode as we head towards the season 6 finale of the show. So that's going to be it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What was your thoughts on episode 14? Did you enjoy it? What was your reaction to Constantine dying? Were you surprised, or did you kind of see this coming? And also, what about Mick Rory? Do you think he could have survived that explosion? And also, what about Spooner's fate? Do you think she might survive as well? And also, what was your reaction to Astra actually acknowledging someone as a friend? Do you think she's come a long way from season 5 to now? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for the final edition of the Legends of Tomorrow Season 6 review series, where I'm going to be talking about episode 15, which should be very interesting, especially with the way this one ended. And also, I am going to miss Matt Ryan as Constantine, because to me, he has been the one and only true definitive version of the character. I know we had Keanu Reeves played him many years ago, but I didn't think it was that good. But for me, Matt Ryan has cemented himself as the definitive John Constantine. And I understand that he will be back on the show as a completely different character. But as far as Constantine is concerned, they've pretty much killed him off, which I am quite sad about, because I was hoping that they wouldn't kill him off. I was kind of hoping they would keep the door open, because Constantine, to me, always seems like a guy who does things his own way and marches to the beat of his own drum. So to actually kill him off was quite a bit of a surprise, really. But I'm hoping that they will bring him back for maybe a one-off special appearance in a crossover, or maybe a special episode here or there. But we'll just have to wait and see, really. But I think Matt Ryan has done an excellent job as John Constantine, and I'd like to see him have his own series again, because he definitely deserves it. And, you know, as I said, Matt Ryan is very popular with a lot of fans, and Constantine has become one of the most popular characters in the DC universe, as well as the Arrowverse as well. So I definitely think they should consider giving Constantine another TV series once again, because he's well and truly proved to me that he deserves another TV series. And if we don't get that, then I would love to see a cinematic movie as part of the DCEU with Matt Ryan in the lead role, because I think that would be incredible. Or maybe give Constantine his own miniseries on the HBO Max as well. But we'll just have to wait and see, really. So until then, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, thanks for listening.